this is a serious situation. I look at this and I think to myself, I don't think that my sons are going to be living the lives that they think they're going to be living. You know, they're both older, but I fear for the future. I never would have imagined myself saying something like that some years back, but now I have no choice. The evidence is overwhelming. It's sort of mind-boggling that this is happening and that it's headed towards something. They're not doing this because they're experimenting on us or anything like that. This is headed towards what I would imagine to be a major event where they will suddenly take over the Earth for reasons that we do not know.
Well, this brings us to the change, and you've written about this, and I wonder, we've got about 10 minutes remaining here. Can you talk about what is this change? You got this this phrase from a number of your folks. What can you say about this?
Well, one of my books, people began to tell me that the aliens were telling them that soon there was going to be a change. The change was coming. Everybody was going to know his place. It was going to be wonderful. The change is coming. The change will be. And I always wondered what the change was. Mm-hmm. And I would ask abductees, well, what is the change? They must have told you what the change is going to be. Nobody knew. And if you think if this were psychological, well, everybody would know, and it might be different for every person, but they would say, well, the change is when this, that, whatever. Mm-hmm. But nobody knew. So, and let me just say also that nobody was aware that other people were saying that, obviously. Right. When I began to understand that these aliens were now coming down to Earth and beginning to live here, then I began to realize that the change was that this was, in fact, a takeover situation, and that the change for these aliens was that the Earth would be changed because they would then be in control. That's my best guess. And they would be living here, and they couldn't care less about the ones who are normal humans. They've got their own humans that they've been making, so to speak. But whatever it is, this planet will be theirs, I think. That's my best guess. They've been doing this for a long time. There's a reason for it. It's not just because they like examining humans. No. There's a reason for it. Mm. They are working towards this change of people who will be living here, I think. That's my best guess.
I've actually wondered that this would be actually an ideal society for them to conquer or to take over if they wanted. We're just on the verge of developing, implementing worldwide 5G smart device technology where every device is talking to every other device. The ability for a complete 24/7 surveillance into everyone's home is a reality. And just imagine hijacking that kind of infrastructure. It's like ready-made for them. They've got the neurological control, and if you put them in, strategic places within global society, they actually could have the capability to control even beyond their neurological limitations of power. You know what I mean?
It is certainly possible. Anything is possible with these beings. You have to remember that these are extremely advanced people, so to speak. Their UFOs simply disappear, or else they fly so fast away somewhere that nobody can see them fly. It's faster than the speed of light. You'll notice that on board a UFO, they're flying here, they're flying there, whatever. People do not feel any gravitational pull like you are in an airplane. If it suddenly starts to make a left bank, your body sort of moves to the right a little bit. Mm-hmm. Nobody has ever described anything like that. We have no knowledge of what their life is like outside of what people describe to us. We don't know whether aliens of any type sleep. We don't know how we know how gray aliens eat, but we don't know whether the other two, the insectolins or the reptilians, whether they eat or not. We don't know how they get fuel. We don't know anything, but what we do know is that this is extremely advanced technology. It's not just one layer above us. They have come through space from somewhere, for who we don't know where, and flown here and have decided to take over. God, I hate to say this because it sounds so crazy, but to take over the planet, if you will. And they've done this before, almost certainly, and they're doing it in a routine fashion. They are extremely advanced. It's not like they're a few years ahead of us, or 10 years ahead of us, or even 100 years ahead of us. They might be 1,000 years ahead of us for all we know. And they're smart. And they retain things in their brains, just like we do, and they learn things just like we do, and all that. Now, I'm not talking about gray aliens necessarily, because they're different. They're workers who are created to do work.
You're talking about the insectolins, the ones at the top of the chain.
I'm talking about the ones in charge, the insectolins especially, and hybrids, because hybrids have human DNA in them, and they've got these. They have brain power that human beings don't have, and they can all talk telepathically. Now, of course, all abductees talk telepathically too, but mainly on board a UFO. So
what can we do? Is there? I mean, you've mulled this over 1,000 times or more, I'm sure, and I don't know if you have any answers, but have you thought of? Is there any hope? Is there anything that humanity can do in the face of this threat?
I don't know if there's anything that humanity can do in the face of this threat. The problem is that people of goodwill who are intelligent, far more intelligent than I am, need to get together and understand what is happening and then try to figure out some way of dealing with it. It may be too advanced to deal with it. It may be too late to deal with it, but at least we might have some sort of a fighting chance. That is not happening. As you know, there's an ongoing study of UFOs, and Luis Elizondo, I guess is his name, has been going around to different UFO conferences and talking about what's going on there. And what the group is doing is primarily trying to see whether UFOs are real, as if this were 1947.
Exactly.
I asked Elizondo, well, have you been doing any research into the abduction phenomenon? He said he's not at liberty to tell me that. So they may be doing something, but it's small potatoes. It's tiny. What they should be doing is contacting me, for example, who spent my most of my life studying UFOs and abductions, and Yvonne Smith and others who do this kind of research.
Agreed.
And debriefing us in terms of what we found and all the rest of that stuff. And they would start doing abduction research also, because that is the only way you can get inside a UFO, period. You can't get inside it. They're studying the outside shells of objects. They're not studying what's going on inside. Inside is the important part. So they would then start doing hypnosis with abductees, and they would realize the import of this, and there would be thousands of them doing abduction research now as we speak. And we would know it, because abductees would eventually tell us. That has not happened. It is not happening. They're still trying to figure out whether UFOs are real. This is nonsensical. It is beyond stupid. It's criminal.
Yeah, really, the only hope would be worldwide wake up right now or yesterday or last week and move in a coordinated effort to understand and then hopefully deal with this challenge. That's never happened with our society, with the world. We're still in this little fairy tale of UFOs. Are they real? Are they not here? Are we alone in the universe? Like these first grade level questions that just keep us spinning around in circles, unfortunately.
That is exactly correct. It makes me angry. It's just It's just craziness. It's absolute craziness. This is a global phenomenon. People around the world are reporting the same things. They're seeing the same things as they have always seen them for decades and decades and decades. And now they're saying the same thing. Now, here's another way of looking at this. Supposing none of this is true. Mm-hmm. Supposing there aren't no aliens up there who are kidnapping people. And yet, all around the world, people are saying the same things about the abduction phenomenon. And it's happening to them. And it's not happening. If that's the case, then we have stumbled on one of the most important aspects of human mentality, so to speak.
Psychological aberrations.
Right. Around the world, all saying the same things with these same psychological aberrations, and not knowing that other people are saying the same things.
Right. Well, one thing that
is, well, about to say that is profoundly important. You'd think that scientists would get interested in this fake phenomenon that everybody is talking about.
Well, I think that's much more unlikely than the actual likelihood that there are others who are walking among us and are here. The one hope, the only thing that I could say is the silver lining here is that they must operate clandestine. They must be secret, and so therefore, my assumption is, if they were not operating in secrecy, we would have the ability to oppose this program. So there's always that.
That is right. Because they're secret, it means that that they're afraid of something.
Right.
That they're not in total control. That there's something else that they want to. They can't let us know about it because it's a weakness of theirs. There's a weakness there. We don't know what the weakness is. We don't know if we could ever stop it. That's for sure. But we don't have enough super intelligent people to get together by the hundreds, if not the thousands around the world and try to figure out what can we do about this phenomenon. And as long as they're secret and as long as nobody knows, then they're pretty free. But the point is that there has to be some sort of weakness there because they are secret.
Please try again.